Even though gut microbial composition has been demonstrated to be fairly stable in a given individual, even over prolonged time periods, recent studies have, and this is fascinating information, have shown that there's actually variations, temporal variations, both on a short time, on a narrow time scale, diurnal variations, as we've talked about in one of our previous newsletters. We now also know that there is seasonal variation. This variation is associated with a variation in microbial composition and function, and the mediator of this connection is the changing dietary habits in these different seasons. So now in this paradigm-breaking paper, we can see that the target population in Sonnenberg's study is one of the few remaining hunter-gatherer populations in the world. There's only a few hundred left in Africa, in the Rift Valley in Tanzania, the so-called Hadza. They have one of the highest diversity and abundance of gut microbes of any population in the world, and have often been used as sort of the gold standard of a healthy microbiome. So the investigators examined the microbiome profile of 350 stool samples collected longitudinally for more than a year from the Hadza hunter-gatherers of Tanzania. And they found that there's significant variation in the microbial composition and the metabolites that they produce in terms of their capacity for carbohydrate metabolism. Most interesting that this tremendous diversity and abundance that these hunter-gatherer microbiomes have demonstrated, that it's not constant, but it can actually come down to a much lower level, similar to what we see in modern Western populations. But in contrast to people living in Western countries, in developed countries, it bounces back to the level of the maximal abundance and diversity depending on the season. So there is a variation, and it's related to the Hadza have a very different lifestyle in the dry season, where they become hunters and have a high meat consumption, as opposed to the wet season, where they eat more, where they don't have the abundance of meat because hunting is more difficult. They do consume a high amount of plant-based fibers throughout the year. So the biggest variation is in terms of their meat consumption. So these findings from Sonnenberg's paper have tremendous implications for our own diet and our own gut microbial health. We've lost about 40% in the diversity and abundance compared to the Hadza or the Yanomami. Is there a possibility to restore the full diversity and full abundance of our gut microbiome with its potential and most likely health benefit on us?